The Van der Velde's influence on British marine painting in the century after their deaths can hardly be overstated. It was immense. Not until J.M.W. Turner at the beginning of the 19th century did British marine painting step out from the shadow cast by the Van der Velde's work.
Yeah, let's have a look at this print. I found it's quite interesting to see like the use of blue ink on that one.
Yes, it's really stunning, isn't it? It's very, very special, this sea green ink, particularly in combination with the mezzo tint, this sort of velvety texture. But this, of course, was the print that Turner supposedly was referring to when he said, "This made me a painter." This print after a Van der Velde painting. Yeah, I mean, you might even say that if it weren't for this print, we may not have had those amazing Turner seascapes. You know, this was, in his words at least, his inspiration.
We can see all the attention also given to the sky and the light could have attracted Turner, I think.
Yes, you're right, exactly. You can see what must have appealed to Turner's sensibility and you know, why he was so excited about engaging with this tradition established by the Van der Veldes. Indeed, Turner was a proud owner of many Van der Velde drawings. Some of these drawings bear the hallmarks of studio use. They have oily fingerprints on them, and it's tantalizing to think whether these fingerprints were from the Van der Veldes or Turner. The esteem in which Turner held the Van der Veldes is testament to their influence and their significance in the history of art. We don't know exactly what happened to the vast archive of drawings once the Van der Velde studio was dispersed, but we do know that by the 18th century, or over the course of that century, many artists owned Van der Velde drawings. Clearly, these drawings were a source of inspiration for these artist collectors. Some even took this to a literal degree where they would trace over the Van der Velde drawings. It was probably a combination of trying to understand the Van der Velde's working process with, if you like, updating them or, shall we say, quote-unquote, improving them. It's a totally different approach to collecting drawings as what we have nowadays. But it is a fascinating insight into just how influential and significant the Van der Veldes were in the 18th century.
It's quite incredible that so many drawings, 1,500 drawings, survived 350 years and are now in the Maritime Museum collection. This shows that they were already quite special at the time and people care for them. They were preciously kept by different collectors before coming to us. And having them now at the Maritime Museum and having them displayed in the Queen's House, in the space where the Van der Velde worked, is a real privilege. Because of their sensitivity to light, the drawing will be on display for a year and then will have to rest in the museum store for 10 years. This way they can be protected and preserved to be visible by future generations.
For me as a curator, what's so fascinating about the Van der Velde drawings collection here at Royal Museums Greenwich is the way it offers a window into the studio that the Van der Veldes had at the Queen's House. A space that would have been absolutely overflowing with drawings, a sea of drawings. And in this anniversary year, marking 350 years since the Van der Veldes first moved to England, we're absolutely thrilled to be shining a light on this unique and inspiring collection.